Welcome to your deep dive all about Python.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it looks like you're trying to get a handle on Python.
Smart move.
It really is. It's everywhere these days.
Absolutely.
So we've got your Python Introduction 2.pdf right here.
All right.
Seems like you're looking for a solid overview.
Excellent.
So let's jump right in and equip you with the essential knowledge about what Python is.
Okay.
Why it matters and what it can do.
Sounds good.
So the document kicks off with kind of like Python's origin story. Guido van Rossum created it way back in 1991.
Yeah.
And it was designed for, well, the document says readability and versatility.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
User friendliness was like baked in from the start, it seems like.
It was, and that's a huge part of why it's so popular today, you know?
Yeah.
It's designed to be easy to learn and use.
That makes sense.
So it appeals to beginners, but also,
Yeah.
you know, seasoned programmers too.
Right. Okay, so the document keeps using this phrase, multi-paradigm language.
Right.
I got to be honest, I'm not totally sure what that means.
Sure. So you can think of it this way. Some programming languages are kind of like specialized tools, right? They're great for one specific job.
Okay.
But Python is more like a Swiss Army knife.
Okay.
You can use it for a ton of things like web development,
Right.
data analysis, scientific computing, even artificial intelligence.
Oh, wow.
It's super versatile.
Okay, so it's not just a one-trick pony.
No.
Can handle all sorts of different problems. I guess that's why it's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. The document also mentions Python 2 and Python 3.
Yeah.
Is that something to be concerned about?
Honestly, if you're just starting out, just focus on Python 3.
Okay.
The current version, it's what everyone's using,
Okay.
and it's the future.
Python 3 it is.
All right.
Okay, now let's get into the why Python rocks.
Yes,
You know, why are people so excited about this?
I know, right?
The document lists a whole bunch of advantages. Like, it's got easy syntax. It has, quote, tons of libraries.
Yes.
But what does that actually look like in practice?
Okay, so imagine you're building a website,
All right.
and you need to automatically pull information from other websites.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, doing that manually would take forever,
Right.
but Python has this amazing library called Beautiful Soup,
Okay.
and it does this effortlessly.
Oh, wow.
It's like having this super-powered research assistant that can scour the web for you.
That's incredible.
Right.
So these libraries are like pre-built tools, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't have to write all the code from scratch.
Exactly. That's one of the things that makes Python so powerful.
Makes sense.
And efficient.
Okay. There's also this GUI programming support thing.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? How does code create those visual elements that we see on our screens?
Okay, so think about all the buttons and the windows and menus you see in any app,
Right.
but instead of like dragging and dropping them, you're designing them with code.
Oh, okay.
Python has these things called frameworks that give you those building blocks to make those visual elements.
So I could like potentially build like a whole desktop application with Python?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, and because Python is what's called a high-level language,
Okay.
you don't have to worry about all the nitty-gritty details of how the computer works.
That's good.
Yeah, you can just focus on what you want to create.
Okay. That sounds good.
Right.
Yeah. I'm more of a problem solver than a technical,
Sure.
deep in the weeds kind of guy.
I gotcha.
So speaking of problem solving, let's talk about some real world examples.
Yes.
This document highlights some pretty impressive uses for Python. One of the biggest ones is web development.
Huge.
Like massive platforms like Instagram and Pinterest are built with Python frameworks.
It's true.
Wow. So Python is behind some of my favorite sites.
Yeah, probably.
Pretty cool.
It's way more common than you think.
Wow.
And it doesn't stop there. Python is a dominant force in data science and machine learning too.
Okay.
Like, let's say you want to analyze all this customer data
Right.
to understand like buying patterns.
Okay.
Python has libraries that make that analysis so easy.
Oh, wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah, data science does seem to be like the hot topic these days.
It is, yeah.
So Python is at the forefront of that.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah, it gives you the tool to extract real insights and knowledge from data.
The document also mentions Python being used for automation and scripting.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds right up my alley.
Yeah.
Like finding ways to make things easier.
Yeah.
I'm all about that.
I love that.
What kind of things can you automate with Python?
Oh, man. All sorts of things. I once used it to automate renaming like hundreds of files.
Wow.
What would have taken me hours manually took like minutes with a Python script.
Okay, now that's impressive.
Right.
So automation can be a real game changer.
It really can. It frees up all your time so you can work on more important things.
I'm sold.
Good.
So we've kind of just scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
Let's dive a little deeper into the tools and libraries.
Okay.
The document lists a bunch, like KIP, PyPI, Jupyter Notebook, TensorFlow, FastAPI.
So many.
I know, right? Can we unpack some of those key ones?
Sure, yeah. Let's start with pip and PyPI.
Okay.
Think of PyPI like this massive library where you can find all kinds of Python code packages.
Okay.
And pip is like your librarian. It helps you easily find and install those packages.
Okay. So PyPI is like an app store for Python, basically.
Exactly, yeah.
And pip is the tool that lets you download and install those apps.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it.
Okay. Got it. What about Jupyter Notebook? What's so special about that?
Okay, Jupyter Notebook is like this digital notebook for coding and experimenting.
Okay.
It's this amazing space where you can write code, you can run it, and see the results all in one place.
Oh, that's cool.
It's amazing for learning, exploring data, and sharing your work with others.
So it's a more, I guess, interactive way to work with Python.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's great.
Cool. Now, TensorFlow and FastAPI, those sound pretty advanced.
Yeah, they are a little more specialized.
Okay.
So TensorFlow is this powerful library for like machine learning and AI.
Okay.
If you're interested in teaching computers to learn from data, TensorFlow is your go-to.
Got it.
And FastAPI, that's more for web development. It's super fast and efficient
Right.
for building web applications and APIs.
Okay, so TensorFlow for data, FastAPI for web.
Yeah, pretty much. It's incredible how Python has all these specialized tools for different areas.
Yeah. It really speaks to the power and the versatility of this language.
For sure.
Okay, so we've talked about all these amazing tools and libraries.
Yeah.
It makes me realize, like, I need to actually figure out how to use all this stuff.
Right.
Where do I even begin?
Right. So the good news is there's tons of resources out there for learning Python.
Okay, good.
Like a great place to start is the official Python tutorial.
Oh, okay.
It's free, it's comprehensive,
That's always good.
and it covers all the basics.
Okay, the official tutorial sounds like a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other resources that you recommend?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If you're someone who likes a more interactive approach,
Okay.
there are some great platforms like Codecademy and DataCamp. They offer gamified learning experiences, which can be really fun.
Gamified learning. That sounds pretty cool.
Right. It makes it more engaging.
Yeah.
They break down these complex concepts into smaller, easier to understand lessons.
Gotcha. Any other tips for someone just starting out with Python?
Don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
The best way to learn is by doing.
Okay.
Start with small projects, try different approaches.
Yeah.
Don't worry about making mistakes.
Right.
That's how you learn and grow as a programmer.
Okay. So jump in, get your hands dirty with some code.
Exactly. Have fun.
I'm sure I'll have moments where I get stuck, though.
Oh, yeah.
Where do I go for help?
The Python community is amazing.
Okay.
They're so supportive and welcoming.
Good to know.
There are online forums, communities like Stack Overflow,
Okay.
even local meetups where you can connect with other Python enthusiasts.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so don't hesitate to ask questions,
Yeah.
share your experiences.
Okay.
Everyone's learning together.
That's the power of community.
Exactly.
Okay, so you've given me a lot to think about.
Yeah, I know it's what.
Feeling much more confident about embarking on this Python journey.
Excellent.
What else should we explore?
So we've talked about all the good stuff, but
Yeah.
it's important to be aware of the limitations too.
Okay, yeah. No language is perfect, right?
Exactly.
What are some of the downsides of Python?
So the document mentions it's not memory efficient and it has slow speed as potential limitations.
Okay, so it's not a speed demon,
Not really, no.
and it can be a little bit of a memory hog.
A little bit, yeah.
How much of a problem are those in the real world, though?
It really depends on what you're building.
Okay.
It might not be the absolute fastest language out there.
Right.
But it's usually more than enough for most applications.
Okay.
And there are ways to optimize your code if performance becomes a real issue.
Got it.
So yeah, it's a trade-off. You gain the ease of use
Yeah.
and the development speed.
Yeah.
And if you really need to squeeze out more performance, there are ways to do it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about the weak in mobile computing limitation?
Right.
Does that mean I can't build mobile apps with Python?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It's not typically used for building native mobile apps.
Okay.
But there are frameworks like Kiwi
Okay.
that let you create cross multi-platform mobile apps with Python.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's not the most common approach. Right. But it's definitely possible.
So there are options if I need to go that route.
Yeah, for sure.
It seems like Python has a solution for almost everything.
Almost everything.
Really is a versatile language.
It is.
Okay. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've explored the history of Python, peeked under the hood at its syntax,
right.
discovered its strengths, its weaknesses.
Yeah.
We've even seen how it's used in everything from web development to data science to automation.
Yeah, we've covered a lot.
As we start to wrap up here, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to remember about Python?
Python is more than just a programming language. No. It's a tool that empowers you to solve problems, create innovative solutions, and explore new frontiers in technology.
Powerful stuff.
Whether you're a seasoned developer or just starting out, Python has a world of possibilities just waiting to be discovered.
I like that. So it's a gateway to a world of creativity and problem solving.
Absolutely.
And the journey's just beginning.
It is.
Python syntax. The document mentions these things called statements.
Right.
Are those like the building blocks of Python code? What exactly are they?
Yeah, you can think of a statement as a single instruction that you give to the computer.
Okay.
Like, if you wanted to display something on the screen, you'd use the print statement.
Got it.
Basically saying, hey, computer, show this message.
Okay, so each line of code is like a separate instruction then.
Yeah, exactly.
But then the document goes on and on about indentation.
Yeah.
It makes it sound like spacing actually matters in Python.
It really does. It's super important.
Okay.
In Python, indentation isn't just about making the code look pretty. It actually tells the computer how to interpret those instructions.
Oh, okay.
So imagine you have a set of instructions for like baking a cake.
Okay.
And you indent the steps for mixing the batter under a heading that says prepare batter.
Right.
That indentation helps group those steps together.
So indentation in Python is like organizing your code into visual blocks.
Exactly. Yeah.
So the computer understands which instructions belong together.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And it also forces programmers to write clean and readable code, which is super important when you're working on bigger projects or collaborating with others.
Makes sense. Clear, organized code, easier for everyone to understand.
Exactly.
Can we look at a real example of this?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's say you want to write a simple program that greets the user.
Okay.
In Python, you would write print, parentheses, quote, hello there, end in quote, parentheses.
Okay, seeing the actual code does help. So print is the command. And then the text in quotes is what we want displayed on the screen.
Exactly. And notice the indentation there.
Oh, yeah.
The text you want to print is indented slightly to show it's connected to that print command.
So that indentation visually links the message to the instruction.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, it's starting to click now.
Awesome.
I can see how as you start writing more complex programs, this indentation becomes even more important, like creating those loops or conditional statements to give your code logic control the flow. Okay, cool. Before we get into those more complex things, I am curious about the practical side of all this.
Sure.
Like, what are some common ways people use Python to solve real world problems?
Okay, so let's start with web development.
Right.
Frameworks like Django and Flask allow developers to create complex web applications.
Okay.
We're talking about social media platforms.
Oh, wow.
E-commerce sites, even streaming services. Python is often the engine behind these websites.
So Python's doing all the work behind the scenes, essentially.
A lot of it, yeah.
What about the visual stuff, though, like the design and layout?
Right. So that's typically handled by other languages.
Okay.
Like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript.
Okay.
They all work together with Python to create the complete website experience.
Ah, so it's a team effort. Each language playing a specific role.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can see how Python's versatility makes it fit into all these different parts of web development.
It really does.
Okay.
Now let's move on to data science.
Okay.
Python is a powerhouse in this field.
Right.
Thanks to its libraries for data analysis, manipulation, and visualization.
Data science sounds a little intimidating.
I know, it can be a lot.
Can you give me an example of how Python's used in that world?
Sure. Imagine a company that wants to understand customer behavior, right?
Okay.
They have tons of data about purchases, website visits, social media interactions.
Right, tons of data.
Python libraries can help them analyze all of that, identify trends, and make predictions about future behavior.
So Python helps make sense of all that data, essentially.
Yes.
and extract meaningful insight.
Yes. It's like having this super powered magnifying glass that helps you see patterns and connections in data that would be impossible to see with the naked eye.
Oh, wow.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Okay, now let's talk about automation.
Okay, yes.
I am fascinated by this idea of using Python to automate tasks.
I know, it's a game changer.
It seems like such a huge time saver.
It is.
What kind of things have you automated with Python?
Oh, so many things.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I first started learning Python.
Yeah.
I wrote a script to organize my downloads folder.
Oh, okay.
It would automatically sort files into different subfolders based on their type.
Okay.
It was a small thing,
right,
but it saved me so much time.
I can imagine.
Just not having to deal with that mess anymore.
That's a perfect example of how automation can make everyday life easier.
Exactly.
And it highlights that Python can be used for personal projects too, not just big professional ones.
Absolutely. The possibilities are endless.
Right.
Whether you're dealing with tons of data or just want to streamline a simple task, Python is there for you.
Okay, I'm sold on the automation front.
Good.
Now I'm ready to learn more about those tools and libraries that we mentioned earlier.
All right.
We talked about pip and PyPI for finding and installing packages.
Yeah.
What about Jupyter Notebook?
Oh, Jupyter Notebook is fantastic. It's so visual.
Okay.
It's like this digital notebook where you can write code, see the results instantly, add notes and explanations.
Oh, that's cool.
It's perfect for learning, exploring data, sharing your work.
So a very interactive way to work with Python.
Very interactive, yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Now, what about TensorFlow and FastAPI?
Right. Those are still a bit of a mystery.
They are.
So TensorFlow is all about building machine learning models. Okay. If you're into things like image recognition, natural language processing, or predictive analytics, TensorFlow is your tool.
Wow.
And then FastAPI, that's more for web development. Known for its speed and efficiency in building web applications and APIs.
Okay, so TensorFlow for data-heavy things like AI, FastAPI for building the back end of websites and web services.
Exactly. It's amazing how Python has these specialized tools for all these different domains.
It really is.
Yeah.
Speaks to the power of the language.
Yeah.
All this talk about tools and libraries, though, makes me realize I got to figure out where to start.
Of course.
Like, where do I even begin with learning Python?
Right. So the good news is there's a wealth of resources available.
Okay, good.
The official Python tutorial is a great place to start.
Okay.
It's free, comprehensive. It covers all the basics.
Okay, official tutorial. Sounds reliable.
It's great. And if you prefer a more interactive approach, there are platforms like Codecademy and DataCamp. They offer these gamified learning experiences.
Gamified learning. I like that.
Right. It's fun.
I'm a very hands-on learner.
Exactly. And they break down complex concepts into bite-sized lessons.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Any other tips for someone just starting out with Python?
Yeah, don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
The best way to learn is by doing.
Okay.
Start with small projects, try different approaches, and don't worry about making mistakes.
Right.
That's how you learn.
Okay, so jump in, get my hands dirty, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Exactly. Have fun.
I have a feeling there's going to be times when I get stuck, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And where do I go for help?
So the Python community is awesome.
Okay.
They are so supportive and welcoming.
Okay.
There are online forums, communities like Stack Overflow, even local meetups where you can connect with other Python enthusiasts.
So cool.
So don't hesitate to ask questions, share your experiences.
Okay.
Everyone's learning together.
The power of community. I love that.
Right.
Okay. Well, you've given me a lot to think about.
Good, good.
I feel much more confident now about embarking on this Python journey.
Excellent.
What else should we explore about Python?
Well, we've talked about all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But it's important to be aware of the limitations, too.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
No language is perfect.
Right.
Python has a few drawbacks.
Okay. Let's get real.
All right.
What are some of the downsides of Python?
Okay. So the document mentions it's not memory efficient.
Okay.
And it has slow speed as potential limitations.
So it's not a speed demon.
Not really.
And it can be a bit of a memory hog.
Yeah, a little bit.
How much of a problem are those in the real world, though? So it's not a speed demon, and it can be a bit of a memory hog. Are those deal breakers?
It depends, really, on what you're building.
Okay.
Python might not be the absolute fastest language,
right,
but it's often more than sufficient for many applications.
Okay.
And there are always ways to optimize your code if performance becomes, a critical issue.
So it's a trade-off. You gain ease of use, development speed, and then if you really need to squeeze out that performance, there are ways to do it.
Exactly.
Makes sense. What about the weakened mobile computing limitation?
Right.
Does that mean, like, I can't build mobile apps with Python at all?
Not necessarily. It's not typically used for building, like, native mobile apps.
Right.
But there are frameworks out there, like Kivy, that let you create cross-platform mobile apps using Python.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's not the most common approach.
Right.
But it's definitely possible.
So there are options if I need to go that route.
For sure.
It seems like Python has a solution for almost everything.
Almost everything, yeah.
Really is an incredibly versatile language.
It is. It is.
Okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
Explored the history of Python, peeked under the hood at its syntax, discovered its strengths, its weaknesses. We've even seen how it's used in everything.
I know. It's amazing.
From web development to data science to automation.
It's pretty incredible.
As we wrap up here, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to remember about Python?
Python is more than just a programming language.
Okay.
It's a tool that empowers you to solve problems, create innovative solutions, and explore new frontiers in technology.
I like that.
Whether you're a seasoned developer or just starting your coding journey, Python offers a world of possibilities.
It does.
Just waiting to be discovered.
So it's a gateway to a world of creativity and problem solving.
Absolutely.
And the journey is just beginning.
Now that you've seen what Python can do, what problem are you going to solve with it?
That's the question we'll leave you with. Thanks for joining us on this Python-powered deep dive.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep coding.
Keep coding.